Hello, I'd like to talk about volcanic eruptions. Uh, Overall, we've had 45 volcanic eruptions as of February the 21st, 2025. Here we have all of our currently, these are in a continuing eruption status.
A churning caldera of active lava that brightened the sky at night, diminished into a quiet landscape by day. The eruption of Kilauea paused Wednesday morning when the ninth episode of lava fountaining ended at 8:43 a.m. The entire episode lasted about 22 and a half hours. Before the episode began, inflation at the Kilauea summit increased during a one-week pause in activity, until occasional spattering from the inactive vents was observed on the morning of February 11th. Lava began erupting from the vent that morning. Vigorous, sustained fountains reached heights of up to 330 feet and continued at lower heights overnight. New lava flows traveled approximately half a mile, or about a kilometer, across the caldera floor. About 13 microradians of deflationary tilt were recorded during the episode, but ground deformation
Volcanic eruptions can have profound and varied effects on nearby areas. Ashfall, fine particles of volcanic ash can blanket areas, disrupting transportation, damaging buildings, and contaminating water supplies. Let's look at some ashfall damage.
Collapse and landslides because their steep slopes are made of many overlapping layers of lava flows, loose rock, and ash. These rocks are often weakened by hot, acidic groundwater, which can turn them into wet, slippery clay. A landslide is a catch-all term for the movement of rocks and debris under gravity. They can range in size. Most are small. But sometimes whole mountainsides can collapse. The harmful impacts from landslides range from the inconvenience of a blocked road to the destruction of homes and businesses and loss of life. Landslides can be triggered by human and natural activity. Slopes can be distinct.
It went black.
It was all pervasive. It was never ending. The smell of sulfur.
We started running home. We ended up getting caught in it.
Todos los árboles quedaron sin hojas.
It actually covered the sky. It totally blocked out the sun.
When that first explosion went off that Monday morning, and I remember I could have seen that ash spreading across, so dark.
If the ash cloud is coming towards you, you can see it just darkening as it comes. It just killed all light.
And that causes huge problems in people driving, people trying to move, people trying to evacuate. It causes people to panic.
People having a little bit of scream, and then a whole chatter start, and everybody was wondering, hey, is this A big one?
It was raining mud, and we tried to drive. The windscreen wipers couldn't clean the ash and mud off the windscreen, so we drove home, opening the driver's side door and just watching the roadside curb. And it went from raining mud to raining sand to raining stones.
Number 2 of our immediate effects is lava flows. Molten rock can destroy everything in its path, including homes, infrastructure, and natural landscapes.
Lava is molten rock that erupts from volcanoes. It can erupt from the volcano's summit or from its slopes. Lava flows come in a whole variety of shapes and sizes. Some lavas, called basalts, are runny, like honey. They can flow quite easily and sometimes form red-hot rivers, like those seen in Hawaii. Spectacular red-hot lava fountains can form at vents, which can generate rapidly moving lava flows. Basalt lavas usually move at around walking or running speed, but they can be faster. Lakes of lava can also form, where lava pools in the crater. Basalt lavas normally travel for just a few kilometers, but can flow for tens of kilometers during big eruptions, or when enclosed rivers of lava are formed. These are called lava tubes, which keep the lava hot and fluid so it's able to travel further. Other lavas, including andesites and rhyolites, are much less runny than basalt. Instead, they're sticky like toothpaste or toffee. They ooze out of volcanoes much more slowly, at about walking pace. This forms short and thick lava flows, which usually don't travel far. Sometimes the lava is so sticky that steep-sided domes of lava are formed. All lavas are very hot, and even melt gold, copper, and glass. When lava meets water or ice and snow, the heat rapidly boils the water, resulting in violent explosions and sometimes meltwater floods and mud flows. Everything in the path of an advancing flow can be knocked over, surrounded, burned, or buried. Scientists are able to provide forecasts about the probable path.
Our third immediate effect is pyroclastic flows. These are fast-moving currents of hot gases and volcanic matter that can cause sufficient destruction and loss of life.
Pyroclastic flows are hot and fast-moving avalanches of rocks, dust, and gas that cannot be outrun. Death is almost certain for those in their way. They are very destructive and a major cause of death and severe injury in volcanic eruptions. They can occur at many volcanoes around the world. The high speeds, high temperature, and large rocks and pyroclastic flows make them very destructive. Buildings can be set on fire, badly damaged, and even completely destroyed. There are lots of examples of villages and towns being buried under the hot deposits of pyroclastic flows. The town of Saint Pierre in the Caribbean was devastated by the eruption of Mont Pelée in 1902. 29,000 people died instantly. Just one person survived, suffering terrible burns. The cast of bodies in the Roman city of Pompeii in Italy testify to the instant death of people caught in the pyroclastic flow when the Vesuvius volcano erupted in AD 79. Since 2010, many victims at Sunabung volcano, Indonesia, have been caught in the exclusion zone, having returned to work on their farms or watch the activity unfold. Some pyroclastic flows can flatten forests and pick up objects as large as trucks and throw them around to form lumps of twisted metal. They cause severe trauma and burns on humans and animals, almost always leading to death. There is no protection for those in areas affected by pyroclastic flows. Those hiding in buildings suffocate as they breathe in hot volcanic ash, suffer severe burns, or are buried under the hot deposits. The only realistic protection is not to be there. Lives are saved.
Our fourth immediate effect would be lahars, volcanic mud flows formed by mixing of ash, debris, and water which can bury entire communities.
These floods are called lahars. Lahars are more destructive than a normal flood because they contain large amounts of rock, ash, mud and debris. Boulders swept along by the lahar can sometimes be the size of a car. They can form very quickly and flow down the volcano into the surrounding valleys, often at high speeds. Several lahars often occur in quick succession. Lahars are a major cause of death in volcanic eruptions. They can travel great distances, many kilometres, or even many tens of kilometres, so communities far from the volcano can still be in great danger. There are many causes of lahars. A very common cause is if there's heavy rain. An eruption can cover the sides of a volcano with loose rocks and ash. Vegetation and soil, which normally absorbs the rain and prevents floods, can be destroyed by the eruption, adding to the problem. When it rains heavily, rock, ash and debris are easily swept into the water, forming lahars. The rocks and debris give the lahar extra destructive energy, and often the flows move much faster than someone can run. Some volcanoes are covered in glaciers and ice or snow. Eruptions of hot rocks can melt the ice or snow rapidly to form bursts of huge volumes of water that form lahars. Lahars can occur at any time during a volcanic eruption, but they can also happen many years afterwards. Fortunately, there can be warnings given about lahars. If heavy rain is forecast, then the chances of a lahar increases. For those places threatened, evacuation is the only option. If there's not enough time to evacuate, then people can protect themselves by immediately leaving valleys and going to high ground. Hiding in buildings is not safe, as large lahars can destroy buildings or flow into them. But the upper floors of a strong building may offer some protection if there's no alternative. Flows of volcanic eruptions send clouds full of rock and fine-grained ash to great heights in the atmosphere. Ash is spread over large areas by the wind. Gradually, the rocks and ash fall to the ground, with the largest material falling closest to the volcano. Near the vent, falling rocks can cause death and injury. People caught in a shower of rock should protect their heads and seek refuge indoors, though the largest rocks can break through roofs and hot rocks can cause fires. People for kilometres to hundreds of kilometres downwind of an eruption are at risk from volcanic ash, both during the eruption and when ash is stirred up by the wind or human activities for months or even years later. Volcanic ash is an irritant to the skin, eyes and lungs and can affect breathing. Children, the elderly and those with chronic heart or lung conditions are especially vulnerable and should avoid exposure, as it may trigger conditions such as asthma. Layers of ash can bury land and buildings. Roofs may collapse under thick layers of ash, especially if the ash gets wet. The safest option is to evacuate areas near the volcano. But if caught, seek shelter in sturdy buildings, avoiding those with flat roofs. Agriculture can be impacted through damage and burial of crops and machinery, and injury or death of livestock through ingestion of ash and restricted access to clean food and water. Water supplies and wastewater systems can be disrupted through damage, blockage or contamination. All forms of transportation may be disrupted or stopped during an ashfall and for days afterwards. Heavy ashfalls can reduce visibility and make roads slippery. Vehicles can break down as engines are clogged with ash. Airports, railways and ports are commonly shut. Flights may be cancelled because airborne ash can cause catastrophic damage to aircraft. Scientists and authorities can provide information on what areas will be most affected by volcanic ashfall. For those who live near a volcano, having an emergency
If
kit
you
will
haven't
help in the
already,
event of
please
an
like
eruption.
and subscribe.
If outdoors or if your indoor
Thank you.
environment is ashy, wear a face mask designed to block fine particles. Holding cloth over your nose and mouth will provide limited protection. Skin should be covered, contact lenses removed and eyes protected. If advised to evacuate, follow all instructions and do not return until advised that it's safe. Take care when cleaning up ash, as deaths and injury due to heart attacks and falls are possible. Thick deposits can be heavy, and ash can easily become airborne, making breathing difficult. Many people live in areas frequently impacted by ashfall. Preparation and coordinated, organised cleanup operations can help you live alongside volcanoes.
I had just been offered a job with the Gifford Pinchot National Forest, and I was on my way to my first day of work. I heard on the radio as I'm sitting there eating that St. Helens had erupted.
People were coming in and they were like, "Oh, did you hear that booming?" And we're like, "Yeah, we heard some thunder." And they're like, "No, that was the mountain that Mount St. Helens blew." And we were like, "Whoa, that's crazy."
We're going to go up there and see my dad's property and make sure that his equipment was okay, because he was taken out of the red zone. He was going to do logging up there. I got up on top of our house and looked south. For most of the day, you could see the plume.
In Vancouver or Portland, it was like snow was falling.
The clouds started rolling in, and by noon it was pitch black, and it was snowing, this sulfur-smelling flour.
We were stuck on the west side for about a week.
I-5 was closed. They were worried about the Toutle River and the Cowlitz River. I reported for work the very first day. The place is just chaotic. News media from all over had already descended on the office. I think probably every geologist in the country had converged there. I was hired specifically to do rare plant inventory work in the Mount Margaret backcountry area, and it essentially got obliterated by the eruption. We did get helicoptered into the blast zone. That was also comical because we get there, the helicopter lands, and there's several feet of pumice and ash burying all of the vegetation. All the trees were stripped of limbs and bark and toppled over, all in the same direction. They didn't know if the ash was dangerous, if there were maybe toxic fumes. We had to work in teams, couldn't be out there alone, had to have radio contact, I think, every hour. Wore funky masks that in effect would have done nothing to actually protect you. There was pieces of pumice that were 6 inches, 8 inches, 10 inches across.
Ellensburg had like 6 inches of ash.
You just stomp your foot and you get an 8 or 10 foot plume. A car would throw up a 30-foot plume. It was amazing.
Mount Etna, Europe's most active volcano, has once again demonstrated its formidable power with a significant eruption on February 13th and 14th, 2025. Situated on the east coast of Sicily near the city of Catania, Etna's latest activity has captured the attention of both locals and the international community.
Yes.
Yesterday and today, Italy witnessed a frightening and beautiful phenomenon at the same time, as Mount Etna in Sicily woke up, throwing lava flows that met the snow. The spectacle, while visually stunning, served as a reminder of the raw power of nature and the unpredictability of volcanic activity.
Again, we've had eruptions in Indonesia, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Russia, United States, Tonga, Philippines, New Zealand. And we've had them going on around, pretty much all around the world. What do you think about all the eruptions of volcanoes that we've been having? And would you like to see more volcano videos on our channel? Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Thank you.